We are just days away from the new year, and I was planning on taking a break from making content because it doesn't seem like many people are watching, and that's probably because it's the holiday season. But I did see an article that piqued my interest, and I thought you guys might enjoy it. So here's just a little update and kind of what we might be able to look ahead to for 2025. So you probably know Eric Berger. I've interviewed him on my channel a few times. He's the author of Liftoff, and he's the senior editor for Ars Technica, and I really liked this article. Eric has a lot of very credible inside sources, and so this article, How Might NASA Change Under Trump? Here's what's being discussed, is literally probably what's being discussed because of who Eric knows, and usually when he makes a prediction or kind of talks about a rumor, he's almost always right. And we know that Elon Musk and Donald Trump have been besties. They've been everywhere together lately. And even Jeff Bezos was recently at Mar-a-Lago. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are now following each other on X, which is something that I didn't expect to see. They've kind of had a feud or a rivalry for many years. And you can see this in the Walter Isaacman biography on Elon Musk. But anyway, some stuff is going on behind the scenes. The tides are turning, and Elon Musk said on November 14th, the people want change. We're going to give it to them. Listen to this clip.
The people have spoken. The people want change. And we're going to give it to them. They will get what they asked for. I think this is going to be the most transformative presidency, perhaps since the founding of the country. And President Trump is picking the cabinet to do it. You can see the choices are people who are actually going to make change. It's not going to be business as usual.
So Trump has already seen a Starship launch in person. He was there at the last launch, Flight 6, and he wants to really expedite us going to Mars. He's even been quoted saying, "Elon, get those rocket ships going." Oh, that's like Australian. Hold on. Let me try again. "Elon, get those rocket ships going because we want to reach Mars." I can't do it. Okay, that's terrible. "Elon, get those rocket ships going because we want to reach Mars before the end of my term." So yeah, I could see a future where Trump definitely wants his name in the history books to be, the president who had the first rocket sent to Mars during his term. So of course, a lot is going on behind the scenes right now as we prepare for this transition from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. Jared Isaacman is also getting ready to become the head of NASA. And a lot of stuff is going to change, and I thought these examples were interesting from Eric. In Eric's article, he talks about a transition team reviewing NASA and its activities, and they've just started to draft potential executive orders for changes to space policy under the Trump administration. Quote, "Sources familiar with the 5 people on the team have spent the last 6 weeks assessing the space agency and its exploration plans. We're careful to note that such teams are advisory in nature. They do not formally set space policy, nor is their work always indicative of the direction an incoming presidential administration will move toward." But these examples show that there could be some big changes at NASA. So here are the ideas under consideration. Number 1, establishing the goal of sending humans to the moon and Mars by 2028. Number 2, canceling the costly Space Launch System rocket and possibly even the Orion spacecraft. Number 3, consolidating Goddard Space Flight Center and Ames Research Center at Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama. 4, retaining a small administration presence in Washington, D.C., but otherwise moving headquarters to a field center. And 5, rapidly redesigning the Artemis lunar program to make it more efficient. Now, of course, nothing is written in stone yet, but even just the idea of consolidating many of these spaceflight centers is something that Homer Hickam recently noted in an interview that I did with him would be a very great idea, and one of the many reasons that NASA is struggling because they have too many centers and it's slowing things down and it's costing a whole lot of money.
What do you think about Jared Isaacman, likely being the new head of NASA? Well, I know Jared. I've known him before he flew on his first Inspiration 4 flight. He's a graduate of Space Camp, or actually Aviation Challenge, which is a subset of Space Camp. And he came here with the Inspiration 4 crew, and I got an opportunity to meet him, and I was very impressed. Of course, who wouldn't be? I mean, my goodness, this young man is just pretty amazing at his knowledge, his enthusiasm, his leadership, and everything else. So I'm really happy for Jared, but it's not going to be easy. Really, it's to come in from the commercial side into a federal bureaucracy is daunting.
Yeah.
To say the least, because all the rules are different on what you can or can't do with your personnel. I mean, people used to say, "Oh, Homer, why don't you want to be NASA administrator?" And it's like, I'd love to be NASA administrator if I could hire and fire and build my own team, but you can't do that with the federal government. At least you can't now. So Jared's he's going to need support from all his friends, and to first just grab hold of that bureaucracy and do something with it. There are a lot of redundancies within NASA. A lot of the centers compete with each other to do the same thing and end up doing the same thing. And so first, of course, they always say, if you don't know what you're doing in an organization, reorganize it. So unfortunately, I think NASA does need reorganization, but it's so political. I don't know. It can be done, but it's going to take a lot of work.
In fact, NASA has 10 field centers spread across the United States, as well as a formal headquarters, of course, in D.C., and large, slow-moving programs that cost a lot of money and have been slow to deliver results. So even just that change alone reminds me of the DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency. It's this idea of really leaning things out, trimming the fat, and having things run more efficiently and economically. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there and have that in a video so that as we see what happens, what unfolds in 2025, we can know that at least these were some ideas being talked about. And I just wanted to add this as an interesting thing I also saw on my X feed today. Gav Cornwell, who documents the offshore activities for SpaceX, wrote, "End of an era in Florida. SpaceX Dragon recovery ship Shannon has departed Port Canaveral one last time and is making the big move to Long Beach, California. As announced earlier this year, SpaceX is moving Dragon recovery operations to the Pacific Ocean. This is the start," which, by the way, they're moving Dragon recovery to the West Coast to mitigate the risk of Dragon trunk debris falling over populated areas. Now, the journey for Shannon will take over a month via the Panama Canal, and it should arrive around January 30th. Shannon has been hanging around Port Canaveral for over 6 years now, supporting Dragon and other things. So I thought that for many of you SpaceX fans, you would find this interesting, and good luck, Shannon, on your journey. I'm very excited for the Fram 2 mission, which should be happening around the spring. So anyway, that's my little update. I hope that you guys are having an amazing holiday season. I'm really looking forward to heading back to the Pacific Northwest to celebrate New Year's with my family in Portland. And I'm also going to be heading to Seattle for a few days. So it should be a really fun time. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for supporting my channel during what's been an amazing year. 2024 is going to be hard to beat, but I think 2025 we can make even bigger and better.